Right, and a very good evening to you. Many thanks indeed for joining us. This is Easy Friday on this day, the 6th day of May, the year 2022.
My name is Shiksha, Arora, and welcome to the show. Remember, you can interact with us on social media at Shiksha, Arora, at John_Kago_M, at KBC Channel 1 on Twitter. Remember, the hashtag is Easy Friday. Tell us where you're watching from this Friday. And remember, we've also got Spotlight. We finally have Spotlight once again.
Absolutely. What are you featuring today?
We've got Christine Joki, also known as Chris Joki. She's an entrepreneur. She has a clothing brand. She is a famous YouTuber as well as an Instagram content creator. So we'll be talking to her about her journey in the industry.
That's a bit later. We're also looking at the news that's been shaping up today, and the committee mandated by the Azimio to scout for a suitable candidate to be Raila Odinga's running mate has a list of 8 individuals. That includes Kalonzo Musyoka, who is in Mombasa and says he's best suited to deputize Raila Odinga, but says he will not present himself to any panel for any interview. Looking at that, and of course other news of the day, business a bit later, and sports. But first things first, Shiksha has the highlights.
Race narrows to 8. Azimio One Kenya coalition to consider only candidates backed by affiliate parties.
Kwa hivyo msifadhaike, mimi na ndugu Raila Amolo Odinga na ndugu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta tutaketi na mambo haya tutasuluhisha.
Give it to me. Kalonzo Musyoka says the number 2 slot is not a bargain.
We also acknowledge that there's issues that need to be looked into, and we have also highlighted those issues to do with the electoral integrity.
And is the country prepared for elections? Observer Group Network raises serious doubts less than 94 days to the August 9th poll.
And of course, our sign language interpreter for tonight,
Susan Thuku. Right. Now, the committee mandated by the Azimio la Umoja to scout for a suitable candidate to be Raila Odinga's running mate will now consider 8 individuals presented by affiliate political parties.
Now, the list includes Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, the Murang'a County Women Representative Sabina Chege, Mother Karua of NARC Kenya, Peter Kenneth, KANU Chairman Gideon Moi, Ali Hassan Joho, Charity Ngilo of NARC, and Stephen Tarus of the National Liberal Party.
The committee chairperson Noah Wekesa says 13 other applicants were not considered in the shortlisting because their candidature was not backed by any of the affiliate political parties.
All right, and Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka says he is the best suited to deputize Raila Odinga and will not present himself to any panel for an interview.
Maintaining that he had shelved his presidential ambition to back Raila, Kalonzo, he said the honourable thing the coalition should do is to hand him the number 2 slot the soonest possible.
Kalonzo, who was in a tour of Mombasa on a mission dubbed the Grand Entry of Mike Sonko to contest the Mombasa gubernatorial seat on a Wiper ticket, said he was banking on his magnanimity to shelve his ambition and support Raila for the number 2 slot. The Wiper leader said there was no way he would subject himself to any panel as his past experience was unmatched and qualified for the job.
Hatutaki tena kusambaratisha uhusiano wa Kalonzo na Raila. Kwa sababu Raila na Kalonzo akishikana Kenya inashinda. Wangapi wanasema tushikane na Raila? Na mimi nasema hivi. Kwa hivyo msifadhaike. Mimi na ndugu Raila Amolo Odinga na ndugu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta tutaketi na mambo haya tutasuluhisha. Kwa hivyo msiwe na hali ya kufadhaika. Lakini nasikia kuna watu kwa hiyo komiti wanasema hiki na kile, sijui nini imefanyika. Hawa hajui Kenya, waende wapumzike, waachie Uhuru na mimi na Raila mambo haya.
Speaking in Changamwe, Kalonzo defended the party for backing Mike Sonko, termed him as the best suited to bring change in the county.
Mimi ningependa kuambia Raila Amolo Odinga, tunakupenda sana.
amekuvumilia kwa term 2 amefanya chini yako. Huyu Mheshimiwa Kalonzo amekuwa makamu wa rais wa marehemu Mwai Kibaki. No Kalonzo, no Raila. No Kalonzo, no Raila. Au namna gani? Hatuwezi kukubali Mheshimiwa Kalonzo ambaye anaungwa mkono na watu milioni 4 katika Jamhuri ya Kenya ambiwe ati akafanyiwe interview na kina Junet pale Nairobi. Tunamwambia Raila kama anataka kwenda State House lazima shike Kalonzo mkono waende State House pamoja.
Sonko, who was present, promising to restore the glory of the coastal town once elected into office. Sentiments echoed by his running mate Ali Mbogo.
Wale mahoteli, wafanyikazi wa biashara kubwa zote ambao biashara zao karibu ziangamie na janga la corona, mimi na Mheshimiwa Ali Mbogo tutakaa na nyinyi tuwapatie suluhisho ya kutengeneza uchumi wa Mombasa County. Kwa hivyo tuko na sera mingi sana za kuwazia wananchi wa Mombasa. Wale wakitumia matusi, sisi tunawajibu na maendeleo. Tumeamua tutaweka pesa milioni 500 tusaidie vijana na kina mama kuinua biashara zao ili tumalize ukali kwanza, ukali wao na watoto wa nyanya na watoto wa babu.
For Easy Friday from Mombasa County, I am Anna.
Right, and a section of election observer groups have raised concerns over the country's preparedness ahead of the August 9th polls. East and Horn of Africa Election Observers Network says despite efforts put in place to ensure that the general election is credible, peaceful, free and fair, some critical issues are yet to be addressed. They singled out electoral integrity, campaign financing and insecurity as concerns that, if not addressed, may erode gains made in the country's electoral processes. Ben Chumba has this report.
With 94 days before the August 9 polls, East and Horn of Africa Election Observers Network is concerned that outstanding critical issues are yet to be addressed by stakeholders in the country's electoral process.
2 presidential elections have been nullified in the continent: Kenya in 2017 and Malawi in 2020. And this was because of electoral irregularities.
The outcome of election in Kenya will impact a lot on South Sudan, either positively or negatively, because most of South Sudanese depend on Kenya.
According to the group, top on the list of issues yet to be addressed are concerns over irregularities and illegalities in the upcoming general election.
EHON urges all stakeholders in the Kenyan electoral processes to address these concerns in an accountable and transparent manner which encourages public confidence.
We are hoping that you'll be able to run an independent, an impartial, and an objective election this time. We hope you try.
During a conference held in Nairobi and attended by election observer groups in 5 countries, including Uganda, South Sudan, Sudan, Tanzania and Kenya, the electoral body IBC was challenged to put in place laws which will regulate flow of money in the funding of political parties and campaigns.
But I also want to urge the candidates not to use the cost of living that is right now affecting the common people to lure them into voting them into elective positions.
So we are urging parties to be true to it, to be able to field women candidates, and there are enough strong women candidates in strongholds that would also ensure at the end of the day they are elected to the 13th house.
The network noted that the use of excessive force by security agencies, violence, cyber attacks on electronic processes and internet outages is a major concern ahead of elections.
The idea of keeping peace, it's your idea. It's nobody's idea, because if something bad goes wrong, everyone is affected. So I think before we look up to into saying who is responsible, I think we are all responsible. Maybe we should start there.
Most South Sudan are very keen about the election in Kenya, because we know that Kenya is very advanced in election process. We South Sudan, we did not go for election one day. I think our election will be 2023 if it goes well, and that is the first time for us to go for election.
So we hope that this coming election happens in a smooth and peaceful way that we all look to it, and you are our role models in the region.
Ben Chumba, Easy Friday.
And still in politics, Deputy President William Ruto is promising to modernize the Busia border point to make it the region's business gateway. Ruto, who led the Kenya Kwanza team in a series of campaigns in Busia County, said the alliance values the contribution that informal cross-border traders play in supporting livelihoods and driving the country's economy.
Busia County played host to the Kenya Kwanza Regional Economic Forum as the team sought to take locals through its economic blueprint.
The conversation in Kenya and the politics of our nation is not going to be about leaders sharing positions and sharing power. It is going to about ordinary people and their issues and their empowerment and their economy.
Being the second busiest inland port in Africa, the leaders promised to revitalize the border county through its strategic position, making it the most important economic stimulant.
Hii ni county ambayo ni gateway ya kwenda katika nchi zenye zina umaarufu muhimu sana kwa biashara ya Kenya. So Busia should be the home of richness.
Busia County is the fourth poorest county in Kenya. Yani Busia County ndio county nambari 4 kwa umaskini mkubwa katika taifa. Hapa Busia County.
The team claimed the region has long played retrogressive political affiliation and must now shift its inclination to realize its full potential.
Mtu asiseme ya kwamba ati hapa Busia sijui TV na Tialala sijui nini. Wewe unapigisha watu TV na Tialala na watu 250,000 ni maskini wa mwisho. Please, nataka niambie viongozi wenzangu, tuwe na huruma kidogo.
Huko Central, unajua sisi katika gold medal ya ukabila sisi ndio tulikuwa na pamoja hapo mbele. Kikombe ilikuwa kwetu. Na sisi wenyewe wenye kikombe tukaamua ya kwamba tumeachana na mambo ya ukabila, tunataka kuongea mambo ya uchumi na mambo ya kulea Kenya mbele. Sasa kama sisi ambao tulikuwa na gold medal ya ukabila tumekubali maneno, na nyinyi watu ya Busia ambao mlikuwa na bronze medal, nyinyi mtaje nyuma kwenu.
ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi using the platform to lash out at the Treasury for the latest report that the country's economy has grown by 7%. Musalia defending his decision to work with Deputy President William Ruto, saying it was good for the nation.
Those who are mama mboga and those who are industrialists, those who are farmers and those who are traders, those who are fishermen and those who are builders. We want an economy that works for all.
Despite its immense economic potential, Busia County is ranked 4th poorest in the country. Kenya Kwanza Brigade is now promising a paradigm shift that will see not only Busia County reawakened, but also other economic sleeping giants across the country to the benefit of all Kenyans. Achola Simon, Easy Friday, Busia County.
All right, and the National Gender and Equality Commission, that's the NGEC, has petitioned Parliament to enact laws to bring into effect the 2/3 gender rule. The Commission's chairperson, Dr. Joyce Mutinda, says though members of Parliament had failed to enact the state legislation, political parties have no choice but to comply with the 2/3 gender principle when nominating candidates for parliamentary and senatorial elections. Here is Andrew Okero with more details on that.
Pressure is mounting on political parties to abide by the 2/3 gender principle before heading into the polls. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has already warned that non-compliant parties will not be allowed to participate in the August 9th general election. The National Gender and Equality Commission is piling more pressure on the parties.
We note with appreciation that the IEBC has reiterated this directive and urged political parties that that are yet to adhere to the 2/3 gender rule to do so on or before the coming Monday, that is Monday, May 9th, 2022. The bill on this article is still in Parliament, and I want to call upon them to ensure that they finalize this bill and have it enacted before they go for election hearing.
After Parliament failed to pass the 2/3 gender rule, stakeholders believe that it's only wise that parties make the principle a reality to avoid another legal quagmire.
If they do not adhere, then there is no movement forward towards the general elections. Section 2 of the Political Parties Act 2016 defines women, youth, persons with disabilities, ethnic minorities and marginalized communities as special interest groups.
Dr. Joyce Mtindas in the meantime said that the commission would push for peaceful and all-inclusive campaigns to ensure the country moves as one. Andrew Kero for East Friday.
In other news, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission claims the conflict along the Isiolo and Meru boundary could be linked to the August 9th general election. The commission said investigations have shown that some politicians were seeking cheap mileage while inciting locals against others, and those found will be held liable for any conflicts. Take a look.
The National Cohesion and Integration Commission says hate speech and fake news remain two of the biggest threats to the conduct of a peaceful election. NCIC says that there is need to strengthen capacities of electoral stakeholders to prevent conflict and electoral-related violence in the country.
What happens is that we want to live a peaceful Kenya. We want to have an equipped community so that even as these institutions leave these communities, we leave them with something so that it is a continuous process. Peace building is not a microwave result. It is a process.
NCIC and the EU have trained election stakeholders in Western Kenya, areas that are likely to experience some level of political intolerance heading into August.
And the third activity will be to help the country to install a unit to work on early warning, because that is a very important aspect of conflict prevention when you have the early warning process in place.
At the end of this training, I stand shoulders high as a leader to go down on the grassroots to tell people what election is all about, what voting is all about, coming together, making sure that we embrace peace.
The project, which began in Nairobi, will be cascaded to all corners of the country to ensure a safe political environment devoid of hate speech and conflict.
All right, and with that, it's time for us to take our first commercial break. But remember, you can keep interacting with us on social media. The hashtag is Easy Friday. Talk to us. Tell us where you're watching from this Friday at Shiksha Arora, at John_Kago_M, at KBC Channel 1. And we will definitely be saying hello to you later on in the show.
Absolutely. More news coming up. We also have business and sports a bit later. Keep watching. We're back in a moment.
Kupata weka imani kama skiza tune kwenye simu yako, dial *811 *759#.
Jameni, yani kuna watu wanapitianga mambo. Wacha vile sisi tunaonanga mambo kitoko kitoko. Kuna watu wamepitia mambo makubwa. Fikiria kuhusu job. akapoteza mifuko, akapoteza mimea, watoto wake, na pato akasimama na Mungu. Hata wewe, weka imani. Usiwache Mungu.
Ili kupata weka imani, dial *811 *759 *811 *759
We speak with cancer survivors who will help us unpack the whole issue of the gap in caring for cancer patients in Kenya.
At this point, because of the swelling and everything, the only solution is amputation.
I could go to the bathroom when I'm showering and I look at myself, I have 2 breasts, but then I imagine sooner or later I'll not be having one. My mom was ailing from throat cancer. So
at least you are aware that cancer exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what we had seen from our mom, I think I was not ready for it.
Zinga. Full stop. Don't allow dad to drink again. Wewe umekuja juzi tu. Relax. And know your place.
Sijui kama ni Mungu ana replace Joyce na huyu kijana.
Huyo kijana yake hapati chochote hapa. Hakikisha umemwambia kasikia.
Mama Jane, mtafanywa DNA ama mtaconfirm aje? Hakuna haja.
Of course,
but why now? As in mbona kukuja last year but one?
Mimi na umri wangu huu. Yale mambo ananipitisha. I'm too old for this, Christine.
1 week is not enough. 2 months. 2 months tutajuana. You will know me better and I will know you very good.
Huku si kwako.
Udaku haipendi uzembe. Kabla ujiaibishe, chunguza kwanza. Alikuwa anatoka wapi?
And a warm welcome back to Easy Friday. Let's head to the corridors of justice. And the High Court has dismissed 2 consolidated applications by the Council of Governors and former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko on barring governors from office when faced with criminal charges, as well as imposing hefty bond terms. Now, in a 3-bench judgment delivered by Justice Grace Nzioka, the court ruled that the court was bound by a Supreme Court ruling on some of the issues and could not come up with a decision. Listen more from the court.
It's a big blow for the Council of Governors and former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko after the High Court threw out their consolidated petitions. A 3-judge bench comprising of Justice James Wakianga, Justice Grace Nzioka and Justice Esther Maina would determine 7 matters, which included whether the court had jurisdiction to determine the petition or whether the Council of Governors had the locus to institute the petition, both of which were in the affirmative, and on whether the bond terms imposed barring governors from office amounted to constructive removal, discriminatory and unlawful treatment.
The parties involved and the findings of this court.
The court illustrated that if need be, the governor can be escorted to office by an investigating officer. Meanwhile, 2 business persons, Eunice Wanjiku and Stephen Kairu, have been charged for being in possession of excise goods affixed with counterfeit excise terms. It's alleged that on the 4th of May 2022 in Athi River, Machakos County, the accused persons were found in possession of 5,673 cartons of vodka, all affixed with counterfeit excise terms, occasioning the Commissioner Domestic Taxes an excise duty loss of 1 million shillings and a value-added tax loss of 2 million shillings. Appearing before Chief Magistrate Wendy Micheni, the accused persons pleaded not guilty and were released on a bond of 200,000 shillings or a cash bail of 100,000 shillings. The case will be mentioned on 19th of May 2022. Lynn Chalom for Easy Friday.
All right, in matters health, First Lady Margaret Kenyatta has appealed to health sector stakeholders to prioritize early diagnosis of heart diseases by intensifying awareness creation and early treatment. The First Lady says success in tackling cardiovascular diseases requires more research and public sensitization in identifying symptoms of the illnesses, especially among women and children.
First Lady Margaret Kenyatta says there is an urgent need to expand partnerships, mobilize more resources and develop human capacity, as well as formulate legislation and policy interventions needed to address the rising cases of cardiovascular ailments, rallying stakeholders to intensify their efforts to defeat heart diseases on the continent.
I urge us to work harder to raise awareness and attention to this issue. It will require more research effort, data collection, and knowledge that will help identify the unique symptoms that heart attack patients present with. That way, we will be better prepared to protect their health.
The First Lady called for personal commitment in the search for healthier lives, saying good health was critical for economic growth and societal progress.
Dealing with this urgent issue also requires cultivation of partnerships, resources, human capacity, legislation, and policy interventions. I applaud the advances that have already been made by our government and all the partners represented here.
She urged cardiovascular health stakeholders in Africa to focus more on the training of healthcare providers and provision of life-saving drugs in remote areas so as to ensure that people affected by heart diseases have access to primary health services.
We know that health is a precursor to development and growth. It is only healthy people who can be productive and successfully contribute at all levels to spur economic growth. To this end, our joint effort will require a holistic approach that calls on our individual and personal commitment to support our quest to lead healthier lives.
First Lady Margaret Kenyatta applauded local initiatives geared towards addressing cardiovascular and heart diseases in the country, such as Kenya Country Preparedness Initiative and the National Hospital Insurance Fund NHIF amendment that includes cover for acute heart attack treatment in Kenya. The First Lady spoke when she officially opened this year's Africa STEMI Live Congress. Purity Museo, Easy Friday.
All right, let's look at the COVID update and the country's COVID-19 positivity rate today stood at 1.2% following the confirmation of 28 new cases. This is from 2,315 sampled cases. Let's look at those numbers. They are on your screens now. These are out of about 3.6 million samples worldwide. According to the Ministry of Health, no death was recorded today, with the total number of fatalities standing at 5,649. Data from Johns Hopkins University shows that over 560 million COVID-19 infections have been confirmed globally, with 6.2 million deaths being reported since the pandemic struck. And a quick correction of those numbers, the 3.9 million is from local, that's from here in Kenya. And let's cross borders now and looking at technology when it comes to security systems, and enterprises and organizations have been asked to adopt a technological shift in security systems as a risk management solution for businesses. ASIS International President Malcolm Smith said enterprises should look at adopting artificial intelligence solutions that cover risks. The ASIS boss said that the shift towards artificial intelligence doesn't take away the human presence in security solutions and should be embraced, as is also embraced internationally.
Speaking during a corporate security conference where he was the chief guest, ASIS International President Malcolm Smith highlighted the need to get the physical and artificial intelligence factors of security in enterprises and organizations, even as he pointed out a skill shortage of 4.7 million.
So there's really a focus on people to upskill and reskill people so they can catch up and being able to protect their assets, people and assets of the companies through cybersecurity expertise.
The association's Kenya chapter chairperson Tobias C. pointing out the need for private security organizations to collaborate with government institutions to provide better security solutions for their clientele.
Unless organizations manage their risks, then those organizations are not likely to survive.
Sentiments echoed by the regional vice president, retired Brigadier General Ahmed Mohammed, who noted the association's steady improvement with the plans to grow it across Africa.
We are better able now to participate with everybody else, far and wide, on how ASIS is operating. And that helped us indeed to pass our message and indeed to grow the numbers in our chapter, both in the chapter and the region. ASIS chapter, well done.
The association boasts of membership of over 37,000 premier professionals globally, with projections of more joining in the days to come. So far, reporting for Easy Friday.
Now, different communities and religions across the country have unique ways of bidding farewell to the dead. How does Dini Msambwa, an African traditional religion rooted in Western Kenya, bury their dead? All this in our weekly feature, My Culture, tonight.
Luandeti village in Malava, Western Kenya, residents throng these homestead to mourn one of their own, the late Mzee Malaha Chinjeni of Venue Subclan. The body, which was being preserved at the Kakamega Referral Hospital mortuary, has been moved into the deceased's homestead. Dini Msambwa is presiding over the interment.
Tini yetu ni kuhubiri watu waruti kwa mila yao na waendelee na tini ya Mwafrika ambayo itaruhusu ukipatishwa unapatishwa.
Tumemsika kulingana na mila na desturi ya ukoo wao. Mbali na hiyo, tumemsika kufuatia desturi ya dini ya Msambwa, dini ambaye ililetwa na Elijah Masinde.
Dini Msambwa is presiding over the interment. Elders must chant songs and perform rituals to appease the gods. Before the body arrives in the homestead, a grass-thatched hut is erected. This is the place where the body will be placed.
Na vile hiyo nyumba ilikuwa inachengwa kwa ajili ya yale maana hiyo nyumba hapo mbeleni wazee ambao walikuwa wanachenga hiyo nyumba kwa ajili ya maombi, kulilia Mungu, kumwelezea shida yao, alafu hawa napata ripoti kulingana na malaika wale ambaye Mungu ametuma.
A bed is then placed in the hut as the resting place of the deceased. When the body arrives, it is placed in the hut and only elderly men are allowed to view the body. Women and young men are prohibited from going into the hut.
Kwa maana hiyo ni sheria. Na unajua hiyo nyumba hawaingii ovyo ovyo. Hiyo nyumba kuna wazee wala ambaye wanaweza ingia kwa hiyo nyumba. Hiyo nyumba hairuhusiwi mama aingie pale. Na unajua tuko na wakati wa kina mama kupalehe. Kwa hivyo hatakikani kuingia kwa hiyo nyumba kama hapo na hiyo shida yake.
An elderly man is assigned to guard the hut and watch over the body. The body is placed on its side in the hut. During the event, a bowl is slaughtered facing the hut. The meat is eaten by mourners. The cowhide is rolled and placed under the bed.
Vile amekuwa mzee na ana mali yake kwa boma. Kwa hivyo kama ametuaja, wamechimba kaburi, wanachinja ng'ombe, wanatoa ngozi, na hii ngozi inapasuliwa katikati. Wanachukua nusu yake, wanatandika chini.
Dini Msambwa's sect leads mourners in prayers and a service is held in honor of the deceased. The body of the deceased lies in the hut for a day. On the day of the burial, dressed in religious attire, the Dini Samba faith will lead mourners in song and dance as well as the service. The body remains in the heart throughout the duration of the service. When it is time to take the body down the grave, the elderly man take the hide placed underneath the bed and wrap the body with it. Those buried naked are believed to be prominent persons and of high dignity and will go straight to heaven. They then proceed to the burial site. Prior to throwing dust into the grave, twigs and leaves are placed to prevent the body from being in contact with the soil.
Kwanza wanaweka nyasi chini, wanaleta hiyo ngozi wanatandika, alafu wanaleta mwili yake wanaweka juu yake, alafu wanafunika na ile ngozi ambaye yamebaki. Alafu wanaweka nyasi juu yake, alafu wanaleta miti wanaweka, ndio wanafunika na mchanga. Inasemekana huyo mzee alikuwa mtu wa mali, alikuwa ni shujaa. Sasa hiyo ngozi anaenda na mali yale ambaye alikuwa nayo. Vile wamefanya namna hiyo, anaparikia hata watoto wake, ukoo wake, kulingana na vile wamefanya desturi na mila zetu za Wabukusu.
3 weeks after the burial, the elderly man will return to the homestead and plant a tree.
Wote walioma makaburini watasikia sauti, nao watatoka. Naenda mbinguni, unapata makanisa yengine.
They shot 2 of her security guards, 1 fatal.
Then how do you expect me to protect her if I don't know where she is?
Who is he? There's nothing you have to say.
I need a moment, Dad. You cannot seriously expect me to stay here.
You can cook, clean, and tomorrow I will show you the farm. There is a lot of work to be done here.
You've got to be kidding me.
I need to know. Your safety, Chester's safety, depends on it.
I'm so sick of you sitting on your high horse trying to make me look small.
A very good evening to you. Thank you for keeping it easy Friday. Happy to be back on your screens after a short break. My name is Betty Kiptum. Let's get into the business news. Now, Kenya's social protection sector lacks the capacity to adequately address global shocks like the COVID-19 pandemic, owing to, among others, gaps in coordination, underfunding and over-reliance on donor funding. The latest report by the Partnership for African Social and Governance Research indicates that only 7% of working age adults receive cash transfers. Older persons take up the lion's share at 77%, while persons with disability only account for 1% of funds availed under social protection programs. Take a look.
In Kenya, social protection is entrenched in primarily 3 ways. Through cash transfers program, the National Social Security Fund, which provides social security protection to formal and informal workers in form of lump sum payments upon retirement, and through social health insurance implemented by the National Health Insurance Fund.
How you want to create solidarity? Because we need to think inclusivity is about solidarity.
ability to bring those ones who are not able to come on board so that they can enjoy with others.
Even when we are talking about the informal and informal social protection, I'm very happy that these researchers are going to help us, because up to last year, nobody even thought that people in the employment sector can be vulnerable. Were we not waking up and finding that you don't have a job? That is what happened. And with that, you are at home. So it would also be good for us as a country, as we are seriously looking at ways of improving on our social protection, we look at such vulnerabilities.
However, identification of beneficiaries, duplication of the interventions between the county and the national governments, access to beneficiaries, and inadequate funding are some of the key challenges.
When we want to come up with a program, we'll have data. And you know, figures don't cheat. They talk a lot. Because now, every time we go to the National Treasury, we are seeking for funding. They ask us, where are the numbers? Where is the evidence? When we go to the parliament, they ask us, what are the numbers in my constituency? What are the numbers in my county? But we are hoping that this social registry is now going to give us these numbers. And these numbers are going out to be the evidence we are going to be using. And at the same time, these are the numbers we are going to be using also to be doing the programming.
The latest report by Partnership for African Social and Governance Research, PASGR, indicates that Kenya spends 0.9% of its GDP on social assistance, with most of the funding coming from development partners. They called for enhanced awareness and inclusion of effective delivery and sustainability of the social protection programs. Regina Mayara reporting for Easy Friday.
Now, private sector business conditions deteriorated last month, hurt by a decrease in customer demand in response to rising consumer prices and living costs, as well as supply shortfalls for some goods. For the first time in 3 months, the headline Stanbic Bank Kenya Purchasing Managers Index dropped below the 50.0 no change mark in April, falling to a reading of 49.5 from 50.5 in March.
The latest Stanbic Bank Kenya Purchasers Managers Index indicates that this month a solid fall in output was registered as firms experienced supply shortfalls for a number of items due to the war in Ukraine and a near record rise in output prices. Input costs rose to the greatest extent in over 8 years. Subsequently, retail prices were raised at the quickest rate in the survey's history, while business confidence dropped to a fresh record low. Clients reduced their spending due to the marked increases in selling prices, fuel costs, and other living expenses. For the first time in 3 months, the headline Stanbic Bank Kenya Purchasers Managers Index dropped below the 50.0 no change mark in April, falling to a reading of 49.5 from 50.5 in March. Readings above 50.0 signal an improvement in business conditions on the previous month, while readings below 50.0 show a deterioration. The survey indicates that the decline in operating conditions was underlined by a renewed fall in new order volumes in April. The decrease was related to clients reducing their spending due to marked increase in selling prices, fuel cost, and other living expenses. With sales falling, Kenyan businesses reduced their activity for the third time in the past 4 months in April. The reduction was solid and faster than in March, with declines seen in the construction, agriculture, and services sectors. Business confidence regarding future activity dropped to a record low for the second successive month in April on concerns over rapid price inflation and reduced client spend that meant that only 9% of businesses gave a positive outlook. Reporting for Easy Friday, I am Teresa Mutai.
And global crypto asset trading platform Elbank has sealed a deal with local firm Adanian Labs in a partnership that will see 10,000 blockchain developers trained in efforts to deepen adoption of virtual currencies. Adanian Labs global CEO John Kamara says cryptocurrencies have been gaining popularity across the globe over the last 7 years to create wealth and jobs for Kenyans.
Some of the world's biggest brands such as technology firm Microsoft, US telecoms firm AT&T and coffee chain Starbucks accept payments in digital currencies for goods and services. In addition, countries such as El Salvador and the Central African Republic have embraced Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency, as their legal tender. Those in the virtual currency platform view them as the future of payments. However, some governments and central banks have voiced their opposition against the digital currencies. Despite this, those in the blockchain technology business view Africa as the next frontier in terms of growth.
Africa, the crypto adoption is very high, and that's why we want to go too deep in Africa market to support more about Africa blockchain company, to support more about Africa communities.
Officials from El Bank, which is a global crypto asset trading platform, believe that with awareness campaign coupled with a user-friendly platform would anchor growth of the virtual currency market in Africa.
Kenya is the ground where we'll learn, where we will nurture talent. We have got different ideas for the region. One of the major one is incubation. Incubation of crypto projects is something that we are going to focus on. The other area is investments. We have got something called as El Bank Labs. It's a $100 million fund that we have rolled out globally. And Africa would be a great market for us.
The training by Adian Labs in partnership with the El Bank will mainly target startups with information on how to tap the global market.
We are their partners in Africa to help conduit that message, to help create that ecosystem, to create the network, the knowledge, to support the community, but also provide the startups in the crypto and blockchain state the opportunity to now have a potential access to listing without extreme difficulties.
El Bank is targeting 4 countries in Africa, namely Kenya, Tanzania, Nigeria and Ghana. Kenyan companies are now venturing into cryptocurrencies for transaction with the aim of expanding their business scope. For Easy Friday, I am Teresa Mutai.
Thank you, Teresa Mutai, for that report. Now, the standard gauge railway netted 15.2 billion shillings in revenue from passenger and freight services last year, backed by increased demand after the lifting of COVID-19 related travel restrictions. The 2022 economic survey indicates that the increase in revenue was powered by higher demand for cargo services that saw the new line haul 5,407 tons of cargo from a previous 4,411 tons in 2020.
Data from the 2022 economic survey indicates that in 2021, the standard gauge railway registered a 24% increase in revenue that was partly attributed to the full utilization of the expanded Nairobi Inland Container Depot, reintroduction of double stack and long freight trains. In addition, enhanced collaboration between Kenya Railways and other agencies resulted in expeditious processing and evacuation of cargo.
Every region, every county, there are infrastructural developments going on, whether roads, SGR, or rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway. Those of you coming from the port of Mombasa, the port of Lamu, there are great strides that have been made in this country.
Rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway increased capacity that also positively impacted revenue earned from passenger services, nearly tripled to 234 million shillings last year from 83 million shillings in 2020. The rise in standard gauge railway freight revenue was lifted by cargo through output at the port of Mombasa, which increased by 1.2% to 34.5 million metric tons in 2021.
We're very happy that the report includes something called reliable development keys for allocating the value added. So really, this report allows us to cross-check our look at the counties with other statistical data and make sure that we have something that is very robust over time.
Similarly, container traffic increased from 1.36 million 20-foot equivalent units in 2020 to 1.44 million containers in 2021, while the number of ships docking at the port of Mombasa rose to 0.9% to 1,635 in 2021.
And that's all we had for you on the business desk this evening. Sports news is coming up with Richard Munga. My name is Betty Kiptum. Do have yourself a lovely night. Bye-bye.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723 892 654 or 0734 780 124.
Oh my God! It's Samael just threw a fireball in Teddy Hart's face!
You know, Contra, I haven't forgotten about the fire that you threw in my cousin Teddy Hart's eyes.
Hart Foundation! Your family is littered in tragedy! We're gonna finalize it! Will Smith Jr. stepping up to Contra. What the hell? Who is that? Let's get a hell of a super kick! It's Pillman! It's Pillman Jr. Hart Foundation.
Good evening, and as always, it is an honor to have your company for KBC Sports with me, Richard Munga. Now to a top story tonight, whereby fans will be granted free entry to Moi International Sports Centre Kasarani tomorrow for the third edition of the Kip Keino Classic Continental Tour after the government waived the entry fee to the stadium that was earlier set at 200 shillings. Kenya is also at an advanced stage of bidding to host one leg of the Diamond League Series.
The government has waived the entry fee to the Kasarani Stadium for the third edition of the Kip Keino Classic. Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed called on fans to turn out in numbers and support local athletes, with the country at an advanced stage of bidding to host a leg of the Diamond League Series.
In order for them to be able to enjoy the sport, to enjoy the game, to be present at Kasarani, that we are going to ensure that access is open and that access is free. So please come early to reserve your spaces in the stadium. You don't have to pay a single shilling. We will be looking forward to just having massive numbers of Kenyans at Kasarani tomorrow.
Elite athletes who will battle it out tomorrow will be preparing for the World Championship slated for Oregon, USA between 15th and 24th July.
First thing, it was about opening up the mind. And it all begins with your mindset. You can have all the talent in the world, but once your mind is not switched on, then that cannot happen. So to the young kids, it's a sport that you can really prosper in, but it doesn't come in a month. It doesn't come in a day. It's a process.
The one-day gold label event will see over 160 athletes compete in 3 categories, with the most anticipated race seeing Ferdinand Omanyala take on Marcel Jacobs and Fred Curley in the 100 meters.
I think that's truly wonderful for the continent of Africa, because we're, a lot of times you hear about Jamaica, you hear about the United States, but to have an African athlete mentioned in the sprints and doing phenomenal is truly wonderful.
Meanwhile, it's all systems go for the inaugural Nairobi Marathon set for this Sunday along the newly built expressway.
I just want to confirm to you that the marathon, you have heard about the route, the security, everything is in place, it's all done, we are ready. So far, we have got just close to 8,000 competitors already registered. And we hope to register maybe between today and tomorrow. It will definitely go higher than that.
It is a road we all are proud of, and we all need to join hands to be proud of this marathon being hosted with us here in Nairobi, of which to myself and the machinery we are well prepared that we are going to take a lot of interest in this event to ensure that it goes a success.
Athletes will compete in the marathon, half marathon, 10 kilometers and 5 kilometer races, with winners of the 42 kilometers taking home 6 million shillings each, while 21 kilometer winners will be awarded 2.5 million shillings each.
Oh, thank you, Buckley, for that report. And as Buckley said, of course, Marcelo Jacobs, the Olympic gold medalist, taking on our very own Ferdinand Omanyala, one of the big races tomorrow, but also Shelian Fraser, of course, with a personal best of 10.60 minutes, of course, coming up against her expected greatest competitor, that is Christine Boma of Namibia, with a personal best of 10.97 minutes. But the other race to look forward to is the 3,000 meters steeplechase. Beatrice Chepkoech, the world champion, with a record of 8 minutes, 44.32 seconds, coming up against another Kenyan, Selifine. So, Chespol. So that's going to be something to look forward to. So stay tuned in to our subsequent bulletins for the highlights as well as the results. Now, moving on to other matters, Kenya Police are the champions of the 2022 International Gold Cup Hockey Invitational Tournament, which ended today at the Sikh Union Club in Nairobi. Police beat Ghanaian side Exchequers 2-1 in the last minute of the final to secure the win.
The Gold Cup Hockey Invitational Tournament ended today at Sikh Union Club, with Kenya Police beating Ghanaian side Exchequers, who have been dominating the tournament since it began on 30th April. Kenya Police won the tournament with 12 points, while Exchequers took the runners-up cup with 11 points.
Club championship here this year, December, naomba NPS na SACCO wa chip in, twende tucheze. Tunataka ikombe Africa. We are currently number 2 in Africa after Egypt, but this time we want to take it.
And in terms of the attacking, they were somehow too fast on the ball. So we are going to work also on that. Then speed, fitness should be on high.
This was Exchequers' only match that they lost in the tournament. Forwards Brian Saina and Titus Kimutai secured the gold medal for their police team with their field goals, while Elikem Kwam of Exchequers secured the team's lone goal.
We are runners up, we'll take it up. There are a few things that we need to go back home and then try and rectify.
In a nutshell, I believe my boys have learned a lot from this tournament. And once we get back home, we're going to exhibit whatever we've learned.
Earlier on, Strathmore University was beaten 2-1 by USIU team. Forward Lawrence Mahatsa and midfielder Brian Kiplimo scored the goals for their teams, placing them in third position. Strathmore came fourth.
This tournament in future, with at least 2 teams from Kenya, 1 or 2 teams from Tanzania and Uganda, and then 4 teams from West Africa. That is 2 from Nigeria and 2 from Ghana. And we will actually work on including ladies.
The tournament was a good channel to prepare for the Africa Cup of Club Championships, which will be held later this year. For sports, I am Nora Mwangi.
Now, internationally, Scottish side Rangers will play Eintracht Frankfurt in the Europa League final. After the two sides won their respective semi-final matches, Rangers progressed on a 3-2 aggregate win over RB Leipzig, while Frankfurt defeated West Ham United 3-1. Well, that's all the time we have for you tonight for sports. But remember, the Mashemeji Derby, that is on Sunday, Gor Mahia versus AFC Leopards, that is in the Kenya Premier League, while in the English Premier League, of course, Liverpool trying to improve on their chances of course, winning the EPL when they take on Tottenham Hotspur, who are after a top 4 slot. That's it for sports. I'm Richard Munga. Do have a good night, but don't go too far. Shiksha and Kago, back to you.
Thank you, Munga. Indeed, it's a title race at the top. It's never easy to play Tottenham, but Liverpool are on top 4. Many thanks indeed for that. You're wrapping up the bulletin tonight?
Absolutely, but don't go too far, because coming up next, we've got the interview that you've been waiting for. I'll be speaking to Chris Njoki. We'll be talking about her journey in the industry, all things fashion, all things entrepreneurship, all things content creation, plus more. Make sure you stick right here on KBC Channel 1. This is Easy Friday. Good night from Kago.
Yeah, absolutely. Till next week. My name is John Kago. So long.
a bad chicken, do you already know? Back to back, baby, you killing the show. Worldwide is international. Switch it up on them, hitting on the low. Nobody messing with the flow. Don't stop, yeah. And you know she got a home. Worldwide is international. When you control me, control me. Oh, when you control, na na na. When you control me. Worldwide is international. Dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? Another dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? Dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? Another dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? You wanna ginger, yeah. If you wanna chill with a winner, pull up on Balupan, Ponyeshe maisha, yeah. Nitahakikisha usitokuliza. Anywhere you wanna be, baby, I'm ready to go. Sema twanzie party, ama twende Tokyo. Dimension, you got me in another dimension. Why lie? Another dimension. You got me in another dimension. Break it down, man, bring it up slow. You a bad chicken, do you already know? Back to back, baby, you killing the show. Worldwide is international. Switch it up on them, hitting on the low. Nobody messing with the flow. Don't stop, yeah. And you know she got a home. Worldwide is international. When you control me, control me. Oh, when you control, na na na. When you control me. Worldwide is international. Dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? Another dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? Dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie? Another dimension. You got me in another dimension. Why lie?
And this is Easy Friday. My name is Shiksha Arora. It's time to get into Spotlight. I'll be speaking to one extremely versatile lady, somebody who I think has done it all, and she has a lot in store for, you know, her brand. I'm talking about Chris Njoki. She's an entrepreneur. She is a content creator. She's got a hand in a lot of things, and I feel like she's excelling in almost everything that she touches, which is very inspiring. So before I keep blabbing on and on, I'm going to get to it and welcome tonight's guest, Chris. Welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Shiksha, for having me.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, being on live TV with you, I think, is like very good for me. And just being here and being able to talk about myself and the brand, I'm really happy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure having you right here on KBC on Easy Friday. I've been following you for a while, and I have to say that, you know, you really inspired the younger generation of female entrepreneurs, women who are just trying to own it in their spaces and trying to, you know, get away from this mentality that we had that you have to work 9 to 5 to succeed in life, right? Regardless of what you're doing, I feel like you still have that ethic that, you know, somebody who's having a 9 to 5 job will have. And that's amazing to see. Did you always know that you wanted to have a clothing line, a brand?
Well, yes. I think for me, because I went to fashion school, right? And I knew I always wanted to be in fashion, and I knew I wanted my brand. And I think even very early on, I knew exactly how I wanted the brand to be.
Wow.
And it's literally, I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do.
Really? So it was all planned?
Yeah, it was planned. But the part that I know I've had to work on a lot is the ethic, like you're saying. So that work ethic, it's not natural. It didn't come like, you know, overnight. And I remember for me, you know, because I've always, first of all, I've never had like a 9 to 5. Yeah. Let me just put it out there.
Wow.
So literally, I've always just had my own businesses and worked for myself. So I used to work from home a lot, and I find myself like in my bed, in my pajamas. I was like, I'm working. And I'm like, no, I had to just turn all of that off like 3 years ago and just like get up every morning like someone who's going to work and actually go to the physical space where I'm actually doing my work. Otherwise, if I don't do that, I'll just find myself getting distracted and doing all these things. So the work ethic, I had to work on it. But for the brand, yes, it's what I always wanted, and it's what I'm doing right now. And I'm just so grateful to be able to do this.
No, it's absolutely amazing. And I love that you're really using social media to push your brand, which is so nice to see, because you're constantly creating, constantly putting out new content, which is very important in this day and age. Did you know that this is how you wanted to push for your brand on social media?
So for me, I know when I started the brand, that was about 7 years ago.
Okay.
Right? 7 years ago, anybody else who was in fashion was doing something completely different from what I wanted to do.
Yes.
So everyone was doing custom made, very pricey, you know, high end. I knew I wanted to do ready to wear, affordable, chic, trendy, you know, like stuff that people can actually get easily. And I wanted to be able to offer that to our clientele. But nobody was doing it. And when I started the brand, I was like, okay, I don't have much money.
Yeah.
But what I want to do requires so much money. So I needed to find all of the free resources I could find to push the brand. Another thing is I really wanted to go e-commerce.
Okay.
Also, I'm a bit of a cheapskate in my head. It's like, I have to make it work.
Cut costs.
Like when someone asks me, I'm like, when they give me a price, they're like, okay, how much do you have? I'm just like, can we just do it for free? Like, I'll always try and get it for free.
Yeah.
You know, so starting the brand, I knew I had to utilize anything I could get for free. And knowing that I wanted to go e-commerce, it's the best way to reach more people.
Yes.
With minimal
resources.
Minimal capital. And then that came now social media. I was like, look, it's a free platform. I can post one video and it'll get so many thousands of views.
Yes.
And I don't have money to do a shop. So let me do social, let me do online. And I can get the visibility there. And then eventually we'll get the stores, we'll get the other stuff. So it's something that sort of just like came as it was evolving. But you can think about it, 7 years ago, a lot of the things we have now weren't there.
Yeah, of course.
Especially for businesses. I mean, no one was using social media for businesses as we are right now. So for me, it was my cheapskate self being like, you know what, let's just use all the free resources we have. Yeah, and it's turned out great. It works really great for us.
So that's how we know you're a good businesswoman, you're a good entrepreneur, because if you're able to use like minimal resources and still get work done, what else do you need in life, right?
Yeah.
It just shows that you are very smart, intelligent.
Thank you.
And she didn't pay me to say that. And it's just, it's good. It's a good characteristic to have as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur. Chris, you know, you mentioned something very interesting. You said that you literally started off with very little capital. You had, you know, a small amount of money. You didn't have as much as you do now. How much, I'm just interested to know, very curious, how much did you have when you started off?
Okay, I think, you know, the thing is, because I knew what I wanted to do with the brand, the Icon brand, I sort of had this, because I'm doing ready to wear, so that means you need to have product available for people to shop. So it's not like custom made where you can ask guys to pay a deposit and things like that. So honestly, knowing that, I knew I needed to raise capital just for the brand. So what I did is I started a business first. So I used to sell secondhand. And I did that to raise capital to now start the Icon brand, right? So if you want to know how much I had to start the business before, that one I started it with 200 shillings.
Really?
The secondhand one. And then I raised capital to start the Icon one, which was about maybe 200K.
That's insane. 200 shillings started off a secondhand business. You know, basically Mutuba clothes, something like that, right?
And then I raised money now for my Icon one, and then we moved on from there.
Wow, inspired. I feel like I need to be also getting into business at some point, because it's so inspiring to know that, you know, you can start off with absolutely nothing.
Literally.
And have shops as you do today.
The thing is if you have the vision, because like honestly for me, I just like closed my eyes at some point, because at that time, think about it, I'm in my 20s. That was like, you know, raging party time. Everyone was having fun, you know. And I just finished fashion school, and I knew what I wanted to have with my brand. At some point, I literally had to just like turn everything off for like 2 years and just like concentrate.
It's a lot of sacrifice.
It was, but guess what? I came back and this party was still there. Everybody was still there, and we just like moved on, you know. But then now I'd been able to build my brand to where now I have something to be proud about. So, yeah, it was worth it.
Lovely. When you started off, you know, your fashion design journey, and you went to fashion school. As you mentioned, you said that this is something that you always wanted to do, right? It was part of your plan, and you knew that this is the kind of clothes that you would like to get into, that you want to, like, you know, give an offer to the world, to Kenyans at large. Chris, did you ever think that Icon would be as big as it is today? Like, did you ever imagine that? Did you manifest that?
To be honest, like, I would be lying if I said I didn't. Because we're not even where I want us to be yet. You know, like, there's still so much more I have in my head for Icon, and even from before, there's such a big vision I have for the brand, and I really want to be able to service the entire continent of Africa. You know, I feel like we're so underserviced. Us guys, like as a continent, we deserve to have fashion brands that are made here, done by the people in the continent. You know, we're selling to clientele in Africa, and it's e-commerce. Everyone around Africa can be able to access this, get fast delivery, like good quality. For me, I see it as a bigger vision. It's not even about just like myself and Icon. It's like, how are we able to build the brand to a point where it's sustaining other people, it's sustaining the families that are working for the brand, it's being able to offer more than what we currently have, you know. So for me, the vision is like much bigger than myself, and right now it's great, but we're not there yet. You know, so we just have to keep pushing. We just have to keep pushing.
Absolutely. Chris, when you were in school, right? And I remember I read this article that was about you, and there was a question that was asked, and you said that I started off by getting my mom's old clothes, and I would put them together and create an outfit out of that. So you always knew that, you know, fashion is something that you were made for, you were born to do.
I liked it. Like, I enjoyed the process of putting outfits together, and especially not like styling, more like taking out these sleeves, adding on other types of sleeves.
So designing,
construction, like literally. I remember my first sewing machine. My dad bought me my first sewing machine when I was 14, 15.
Wow.
And it was so old, like it was not even second hand. That was like 10th hand from like a tailor somewhere downtown. And I used to have that thing in my room, and I remember I found a old suitcase of my mom's clothes. And I remember I used to take these things and tear them out and like sew them back together and have them for church, wear them for church. And that to me would make me so happy, you know. And my dad is actually the one who was like, you know, because when I finished high school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, even with all this, because, you know, at that time, you don't think fashion is a career.
Of course.
So I didn't know what I wanted to study. And he was like, why don't you try, at that time, I was like, why don't you try tailoring? And I was like, you know what? I enjoy it. Let's do tailoring. You know, at that time, you don't even call it fashion. And so that's how I ended up in school. I switched a couple of schools here and there, but and then we were here.
It's so lovely that your dad actually pushed you to get into something that's not very, you know, conventional, as we'd call it. Because usually parents would be like, become a doctor, become a lawyer, become a nurse, you know, go to business school. And it's so nice that he was so unconventional, and he's like, you know what? Get into fashion school, go into tailoring.
It's true. And for me, honestly, that for me made me even more confident. You know, just knowing that I have my parents to back me up, and he'll never let me live it down. He's like, you see, I'm the one.
I told you.
This was good. But yeah, for me, it just gave me that much more confidence just to keep pushing for my dreams, because I knew he was there just like, you know, pushing me on and like rooting for me. So yeah, I think the support was a lot more than, you know, I wanted.
Amazing.
But it was great.
Let's talk about content creation, because you know, you're a jack of all trades. I feel you've done content creation, entrepreneurship, you name it. And when it comes to content creation, what is something that you feel is lacking right now in the Kenyan space? I know we've come a long way, especially in the last 2 years during COVID. I've seen miles of progress, and it's amazing to see. You as well, there's been immense growth on your page. You know, you can see the caliber of work that you're putting in now, and the quality is improved. So maybe some tips for people who are trying to get into content creation, what they need to do, what you think is lacking in this space, what you'd like to do in future.
Right. I think for me, content creation is the same thing. I've really seen growth in content creation as a whole, but what I love the most is just seeing people being authentically themselves. I feel like if you can get to find out who you are, truly, and then just share that authentically with the world, I feel like everybody will just like love it. You know, let's not try and, you know,
be someone else.
And I just love, what I love the most is I'm able to see some of the people I follow, I'm able to see who they are authentically, and that's why I follow them. And I think even for the people, the rest of us who follow people on social media, you follow somebody because you relate with them. You want to see that side that maybe you wouldn't see otherwise, you know.
Right.
And for me, I would just keep telling people, just be your authentic self, because that mask you wear for social, trust me, it's not going to stay on forever. You know, one time it's going to fall off. What you going to do, you know? And in terms of, you know, what's not working or what I would like to see improving, I think social media sometimes, maybe we take it too seriously. Unless it's for business, you know. And yes, we can say even as content creators it is for business, but I think let's have fun with it. Social media is there to be social. Let's be social. Let's meet people. I mean, you and I probably just met on social and we chatted in the DM. You know, let it be social. Let's use social media for what it's supposed to be. And then if it's for business, we keep, you know, still use it for business. Even for us with Icon, the way we use our social media, as much as we use it to market our products and sell to people, we try and be social with our customers. So we want to see how they're wearing their Icon pieces. We'll chat with them, you know. We try and keep it very like social, which is what it's supposed to be, right?
Yes, of course. That's why the internet was created.
Yeah, it's to be
so we
social.
can network and talk to others and just create a social space. Chris, you do a lot. Do you ever experience burnout, fatigue, like at times when you're just like, I really don't want to do 50 million things today. I want to sit at home and not leave the house. Like, do you have those days? I mean, we all do.
Of course, yeah.
How do you tackle those days?
I literally sit at home and do nothing all day.
Because I do that, to be honest.
Honestly, there's days I'm like, you know what? I just make sure everyone is at the spot doing what they need to do. And I just tell everyone, look, guys, I'm at a meeting all day. Don't disturb me.
I love it.
And I just chill. Like, those days are going to come, especially when you're handling more than one thing at a time. And I'm sure it's the same thing for you.
Yes,
you know, you have your content creation and you have all these brands you're working with and you have this other day job and you have all these things you're juggling. Of course, it's going to get taxing at some point. And I totally advocate, if anybody out there is feeling like, you know, really burnt out, take that time, because you're not able to give 100% on one thing if you're not 100% like within yourself, you know. So I totally just take time off and I tell guys, okay, whatever, I'll just say I'm working or I have an impromptu trip, and I just literally put my phone on D&D and I just take time for myself.
It's amazing. It's very important.
Then you're able to come back even stronger. Otherwise, it's gonna keep piling up and you don't know when it's gonna blow.
We're in this space where social media sometimes, obviously, it's great because you get to push your brand, you get to push, you know, the things, your business, and things that you're passionate about. But at the same time, there's a lot of negativity out there. There's a lot of competition, and I feel like self-doubt when you see everyone around you is doing so well, comparison, they're making it. And then again, people don't really post their lows, right?
Of course,
how do you always know that this is what I want to do with my social media? I'm going to be intentional with this particular part of my journey, and phase away all the noise in the background. How do you do that? How do you get rid of the self-doubt, you know, comparison, insecurities that social media brings about?
You know, that's actually something that I've addressed a couple of times, even on my social media. I think one of the things, especially for me, is feeling sometimes that the space I'm in, it's like I don't belong there. It's like, you know, are you sure? Are you good enough? There's always a lot of those questions. And these things, I think what the best way to tackle it is, number one, to know what you're dealing with, right? So for me, I am able to just like see early on, okay, this is just self-sabotage, you're doing this to yourself, you know, and I just try and look at all of my achievements, even if the list is not that big, but I try and look at the things that are going well, and then use that to be like, you know what, keep pushing, because all of this is not going well by mistake, you know. And in terms of competition and seeing everybody else succeed, I feel like once you have your purpose and what you want to do and you're okay with that and you're happy, truly, no one else is going to be competition, because you're like, you know what, I have all these things that are going well on my side. If it's going well on this other person's side, then go for them and go for me too, right? But literally, it's all about trying and seeing what I'm doing right and then applauding myself for that, rewarding myself for that, you know, being able to actually take note of these things, because a lot of times I find also people tend to forget the good things that are happening in their lives. take note of it.
Yes.
You know, if you're into writing, keep a journal. Talk about the good things happening, because then during those low moments, you're able to refer back and be like, you know what, this is good.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay, you know?
It's very true.
Yeah.
I like what you said, because sometimes you just forget how far you've come in life.
Yeah, and you just want to, because you see others and you keep thinking, no, I need to be there. But you're forgetting how far you've come, you know. They probably didn't start where you started.
Of course, everyone's journeys are different.
Yeah. So it's just about seeing what you've achieved and then saying, you know what, we started here, there's been improvement, just keep going. Next time you check, you'll probably be double that, you know?
Yeah. It's amazing. So when you started off Icon, I'm guessing it was just you. Now you have an entire team. Right now, how many people do you work with? How many creatives do you have that are under Icon? You know, maybe you can just give us a bit of a breakdown in terms of like your day-to-day activities. When you wake up in the morning, what are the things that you do, and when do you finish working?
Okay, so number one, I think I work every day. Like every single day. Even on Sunday I'm working. Yes, it's not the physical, I'm going to the office, but I'm constantly on my phone. Like a lot of things happen, especially remotely now, because with tech, it's like you can do stuff from your phone, you can do stuff literally from anywhere. So I do work a lot, and that's something also maybe I probably need to work on. It's like having times where I'm just like, okay, no more work.
You need a break.
Yeah, but you see, it's my baby. Like, if anything happens, that's mine. Like, I'm still teaching him how to walk, you know? So I do work a lot. In terms of my daily routine, I would say, you know, getting up, I'm a pretty early riser. Okay. I've always been, kind of. So usually waking up in the morning is not too tough for me. But I'll try and do everything before noon, just because that's when I have my energy. That's when I'm like, you know, the minute I have my lunch, it's like snooze fest. But usually what I'll do is first thing in the morning, check into, you know, our studio. Not everybody works at the same place at the same time. So then usually you'll find like our creative team will be in the studio and we'll just do like a powwow. I make sure I'm talking to the community manager, I'm making sure everything is being done, guys, for content. Because, you know, for me, it's like, I think with the brand and being a content creator, content is so high up.
Yes, of course.
On the things we need to do in Icon, you know? So I need to make sure that the people doing our content are good, they have whatever they need, you know? And then after that, I'll try and see what do we have in production, how is that going? Try and touch base in all the departments, just also so no one feels like, you know, you're not around enough. So a lot of it is just like making sure everyone is good. Okay. Phone calls. I make so many phone calls in a day. I'm in like 20 WhatsApp groups. It's crazy. Wow. But there's like different WhatsApp groups for different aspects of the company. But yeah, it's nice, you know. It's definitely different from when I began. When I began, I was like a one-man show.
Yes, one-man army.
You know, let me tell you. And let me tell you, those days, I still really just like low-key miss them. I miss them because that's what really makes me feel like closer to my brand. It's like I know everything about this brand because I started by myself. Anyone who came in after me, I trained them myself, you know? So it's like there's such an attachment to that. And it's like, I know everything happening here. So there's no one who can come and tell me, no, today we can't do this because I'm just like, I've done it before. I know exactly how to do it, you know? But yeah, that's basically the day. So a lot of it is like managing people, which is something I've had to learn as well over time. So I'm not too much into the actual like nitty-gritty, but yeah, managing people. I still do a lot of designing, so I try and keep that process. It's near and dear to my heart, so like selecting fabrics, making sure we know what we're designing. I still like to do that myself. But yeah, managing people mostly.
Nice. And I mean, I guess it also keeps your creative juices flowing,
It
right?
does, yeah. Because at the end of the day, as much as I'm a businesswoman, I'm still a creative.
Yes.
I still need to make sure I'm like doing fun things.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely. And Chris, as we wrap up, you know, maybe you'd like to just give a message to people who are watching, people who have seen you grow these past few years, people who've bought from your brand and are fans of Icon. What would you like to tell them?
I think for me, it just gives me so much joy to see everybody appreciating what we're doing at Icon, you know, and it's, as I mentioned before, it's something for me that we're doing for greater good. I want to be able to help anybody who joins the brand in terms of, you know, being one of the employees, whatever, but I just want to be able to grow the industry, and I as well want to be able to grow fashion in Africa as a whole. And so I'm so grateful to everybody who's given Icon support thus far. If you don't know about Icon, you should check us out on Instagram, Icon Live, and we are on all the social platforms. I make sure of that as Icon. So just go and check us out, guys. We do try to stay very new, very current. So currently I know we do like a new collection every single month.
Yes.
So we try and just like offer new styles all the time. But yeah, for anybody who's out there, just thank you. It's been such a good journey, and I'm so excited to see what more there is to come.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming, and it was great having a conversation with you. I've learned a lot, I have to say. And yeah, just keep going, and all the very best in the future. You know, I know you're destined for greatness.
Yeah.
So let's get it.
Thank you, Shiksha. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, that was Chris Njoki from Icon, a businesswoman and entrepreneur. She is the founder of Icon, and you know, I have to say that I really commend her for her work ethic. I've already mentioned that. And yeah, if you have a dream, if you're passionate about something, just go for it, because as she said, you know, there's not many people out here who'll be doing the same thing as you, right? So you, be yourself, be authentic, and just go chase your dreams. That's all from me right here in KBC. That's all we got it for you. But Cole Jax is smiling at me, so I can't not give him a big shout out. Make sure you stay right here, because Cole Jax is up next with Disco Funk until 11 p.m. Good night.